Good morning. Today we're talking about multiplication of fractions because in the next couple of days we're going to be working with, clearing the fraction. So let's get through this first page of notes as quickly as we can. Hopefully you have printed this or have it from me from Friday. Otherwise, take notes on a separate sheet of paper. I want you to understand that when in math class, the word of means multiply. Ms. Stover taught you a little bit about that during class time. I know. And so why do fractions end up getting smaller? So let's say we're trying to find what 1/2 of 1/3 of a Hershey bar is. Well, here's 1/3 of a Hershey bar. There's 1/3 of a Hershey bar right there. And if we want just 1/2 of that 1/3, we would be talking about just this part right here. Just that. And how much is that? That's 1, 2 out of the 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. That's 2/12 of the whole Hershey bar, which is, if we simplify that, divide by 2, that gives us 1/6. And then what's 3/4 of 2/3? I'm going to use a different pen. So let's take 2/3 of this thing. 2/3 would be that's 2 out of the whole 3. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. So what I've highlighted in yellow is 2/3. And what 3/4 of that 2/3? If we take that 2/3 and we take and divide it into fourths, there's 1/4 here, 1/4 here, 1/4 here, and 1/4 here. And 3/4 would be that right there. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 6 out of 12, so that's 1/2. So how does that come from what we have here? What is that? How does that relate to all this? Well, that's what this is all about. When you're multiplying fractions, you want to make sure that you multiply the numerators together, and this will be your new numerator, and multiply the denominators together, and that will be your new denominator. So when we want to simplify if possible. So right here, the numerators are 2 and 7. So we want to do 2 times 7, and that gives us 14. This is not what you do when you add, but it is what you do when you multiply. Multiplying fractions is the easiest of the operations. And then we have, sticking with the Comstock Park theme, 5 times 4, which would be 20. And then at this point, these are both even numbers, so we can divide them both by 2. So that gives us 7/10. That would be our final answer. So there's multiplying fractions. That's just a simple product of fractions. But if we have a fraction and an integer, if multiplying an integer and a fraction, you need to put a 1 underneath the integer. You can always put a 1 underneath an integer, because what's 10 divided by 1? It's 10. You multiply just like we did up here. 10 times 7. And then 1 times 4. 10 times 7 is 70. 1 times 4 is 4. And then these are both even numbers, so we're going to divide by 2. Divide by 2. 70 divided by 2, you can use your calculator if you want to, but in my case, that is 35. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. And there is our answer. Sometimes, if it's an application-based problem, you might decide to take your handy calculator and say 35 divided by 2, and that is 17.5. If it doesn't ask for a fraction result, a decimal result will be perfectly fine. And last but not least is negatives and product of a fraction and or an integer. So now all we're doing is different than the first two parts is throwing a negative either way. So when multiplying fractions and or integers, use the rules we learned about the product and quotient of integers. An odd number of negatives means you should have a negative result, because every pair of negatives cancel out to become positive. Like if you get -1 times -2, that would be +2. But -1 times +2 would be -2. If you have an even number of negatives, that means you will have a positive result. And when you see this, that's really important right there. This is against the law. That doesn't distribute. That does not distribute. If you were in class, what I would have shown you is that -5 over 6 is the same as -5 over +6, or it's the same as 5 over -6. These are all the same. All the same. This right here, that's bad. It's bad. See this? I'll get Officer Brown on you if you do that. That's bad news. So when we see this right here, we've got 3/4 times -8 over 11. That's 3 over 4 times, I'm just going to write -8 over +11. 3 times -8 is -24. 4 times 11 is 44. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. That's -12 over 22. Oh, they're both still even, so I'm going to divide by 2 again. And that gives me -6 over 11. If it were an application problem of some sort, -6 divided by 11 gives us, let's go with -0.55. -0.55. That's approximately equal to -0.55. But this is my preferred answer. That is all I have for you today. Your assignment is to do the back side of this page. And I have these highlighted, you'll see. I've got, these are kind of plain and basic. This one's really out of place. I don't know that I meant for that either. But it's fine. It's no big deal. These do something specific, and I want to see if you recognize what they do. They have something in common. And these actually have something in common that we'll talk about at the start of class tomorrow. When you are finished with this, what I would like you to do is take a picture and submit it on Google Classroom. You can take the picture with you. Take it well. Make sure I can read it from my computer. I won't look at it on a phone, but take a picture and submit this using Google Classroom. And that's how I will grade your homework. Okie doke. If you have any questions, send me an email. I will be connected at all times. So thank you.